If you've ever felt trapped in the endless cycle of dieting, losing weight, gaining it back, feeling bloated, tired, and wondering what's wrong with your body, today's episode is going to change how you see everything. We're diving into 8 powerful reasons why fixing your digestion means you'll never have to diet again. I'll be weaving together history, science, and scripture to show you that your gut is far more than just a food processor. It's a communication system between your brain, your body, and your spirit. This is Gallbladder Gone Now What, where I help women who've lost their gallbladder or women who are simply struggling with digestion to discover lasting healing for digestion, hormones, and weight. So, this is through biblical wisdom, nutritional science, and a little dose of grace. So, grab your herbal tea, take a deep breath, and let's get to the root of your health story.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
Welcome to Gallbladder Gone Now What? The podcast for Christian women navigating life after gallbladder removal. Hosted by Jamie McCrivey, holistic nutritionist, wife, boy mum, grandma, and a firm believer in God's design for lasting health. Did you know that over 1.2 million Americans have their gallbladders removed every year, and that the majority of them are women? Even more eye-opening is that all gallbladder issues are digestive issues, and poor digestion is at the root of up to 80% of all disease, including hormone imbalances and weight struggles. While Jamie isn't a doctor and this podcast isn't medical advice, she shares real solutions rooted in research, experience, and God's Word. Let's get practical, biblical, and real, one step at a time.
Welcome back. I am so glad to have you here. So, my story starts and ends kind of with this. So, when I was really struggling with digestion, there were times I was able to lose weight, but a lot of times I struggled with my weight. Um, I was sitting in class at the college a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, of course, nutrition and digestion. And one of the students asked me about weight and losing weight and how come it's so hard. And I just had to sit with her and the whole class, but telling her that when we are struggling to be at a normal, healthy weight, women around 30s, 40s, and 50s, and even on, it's like a constant battle of this weight. What we're not seeing here is that weight is a symptom of something not going right. It shouldn't be a struggle, a constant battle to be in balance like that. So to lose that weight. And so when I was fixing my digestion, at that point, I just wanted to feel better. I didn't really have an agenda to lose weight, but what that was like a side effect. And so now I don't even really think about my weight, whereas it used to kind of constantly be there. I'm the same weight all the time. I mean, I fluctuate a little bit in the winter because we're supposed to gain about 5 pounds in the winter. And around my period, I gain like 1 or 2 to 3 pounds or whatever, nothing exciting, but I always say about the same. And it's because I finally have gotten my body into balance. So this is what I want for you. I want you to be able to understand why healing digestion affects so much in our lives. So the first one is our gut controls metabolism. It is not our willpower. So it doesn't matter how many goals you set, how many, you know, protocols you have in place for this, that the science shows that 70 to 80% of our metabolism depends on our cellular and digestive efficiency. So this isn't about calorie counting. It's not about restriction. It's not about blaming yourself and shaming yourself and feeling guilty. Um, well, first of all, those aren't helpful. Those just exacerbate the problem. But if we've had our gallbladder removed or are struggling with digestion, that metabolism can slow down, and this bile that trickles continuously or is stuck, it's not helping us digest the good soluble fats. Vitamin A, vitamin D, E, and K aren't broken down efficiently. And so when we start to really heal this digestion, especially when we don't have a gallbladder, but also when we do have a gallbladder and things are just sluggish, then things start to go out of whack. So when we heal our digestion, and especially our liver, the microbiome will start to pick up that slack and it will start helping your body burn fuel more efficiently again. So we know that, it said all disease begins in the gut, and ancient healers knew this, that digestion was the foundation of health. And so modern science is finally picking this up. The second reason is that nutrient absorption reprograms our cravings. So when we're craving like crazy and we're swinging back and forth, we need to get this. It's our body's way of telling us that we are out of balance. So when we don't have a good gallbladder, or that fat is not digesting correctly, or it's being uh, imbalanced there, which means that there's poor absorption of the key nutrients. And these key nutrients are things like magnesium and zinc and essential fatty acids. These will drive us to crave sugar and caffeine. And so I know for me, when I'm going and just craving sugar, that my balance is starting to go a little wonky. So once we heal that digestion, and of course, this is what my program is based on, is healing digestion. And the one and why it's so important is when I was working with doctors in a doctor's office, and I've realized if I could get people to do these 7 principles, that so they'd come in with like 100 symptoms. I can't sleep, my period's wonky, I can't lose weight, my stomach is upset, I have gas, I have bloating, I have a lot of fatigue. Now if I could get them to do these 7 principles, then 80% of their symptoms, 80 to 90% of their symptoms would go away, and then we could manage that 10 to 20 percent really easily. And so this is what I built my whole program around, is healing this digestion, because once we heal it, we can improve that bile flow. We start to eat slowly, and we start to, use our tools to help that digestion. And some of those tools are using bitters with our meals, which there's a link in the show notes for my suggestion for bitters and bile and all the other things I suggest, and I give you a 10% discount on that over at Full Script. And then you can get a whole bunch of things over there, like you can get uh, drinks, you can get protein things, you can get whatever. So I'd suggest looking at it anyway, and it's a really great place to get your health needs met. But with this nutrient absorption, we want to reprogram our cravings. So your body will stop begging for these quick energies, these shortcuts. And so then it shifts to craving foods that truly nourish you. And so the shift is amazing, actually. And when your body starts to crave things like salads and sprouts and sour soured foods like sauerkrauts and sourdoughs, and it starts to crave things like sweet potatoes and really nutrient dense foods, and it's finally your body is getting what it's been asking for all along. So the third reason is that bile flow and liver health are the hidden keys to weight loss. So we're trying to do all these external things, but if internally things aren't working, I mean, I worked in the fitness industry for a long time, and I would look around and I would see these instructors who are exercising several hours a day, and they're still overweight. They're still struggling. So it's not an exercise issue. And it's not always entirely. I've had people come to me who are eating really what they consider really well, but once we make some tweaks using these 7 principles, all of a sudden their body goes into balance, because the liver and the gallbladder are key. And now when you don't have a gallbladder, we need to work even harder on the liver. So the bile that is our body's natural detoxifier and fat emulsifier, so it's breaking it down. So again, that bile is either dripping slowly over time, or if you have your gallbladder and you just have a congested liver, it's not always in the right amount or concentration when we eat. So that can lead to things like constipation, bloating, and then things like estrogen dominance. So we have this, women who are estrogen is a hormone that builds. And so, we see those women who have really big breasts, they're like really thick. It's usually an estrogen imbalance, and that stalls weight loss. And so when we support that bile with daily movement, and principles that help detoxify and move, and adding in herbs. All of these are in my program to help you, but this is when we move the toxins out, the body kind of steps in and is able to release the fat that it's been holding on to and start to really cleanse the body, making it easier for you. All right, reason number 4 is because our gut bacteria influences mood and motivation. So again, we're thinking, oh, if I, making these rules, these plans, and then we fall off the wagon because 90% of our serotonin, which is that feel good neurotransmitter, is made in the gut. So when bile isn't flowing properly and digestion isn't going well, harmful bacteria can grow and produce toxins that literally dampen mood and energy. So healing digestion balances your microbiome, and it restores that mental clarity along with our motivation and joy. So if we're feeling depressed or even anxious, this is in the gut. And so the result is that we want to care for ourselves again without guilt, with no grind, just that grace and energy returning. Now, reason number 5 that we want to heal digestion so we don't have to diet anymore is that chronic dieting damages our digestion. So, again, working with clients who've been on and off diets back and forth, is that their body's really confused. So, restrictive diets lower stomach acid and reduce that bile production. So, both of which are usually compromised at this point, and especially when we don't have a gallbladder. So, we're not breaking down fat correctly, there's nutrient malabsorption and fatigue. So, when you eat less, you start to feel worse, right? Like nothing feels good. And so when we begin to fix that digestion, it rebuilds the trust between your body and yourself. Like you start to listen intuitively again. So your body begins to feel safe, and it stops clinging to this weight and starts responding to that nourishment. It starts to feel safe. So you need to stop, with the food rules, and start hearing your body's inner wisdom again. God put in us these amazing signals. And again, this is something I go through in the 7 principles to heal digestion, which is at the foundation of both the programs I offer, is that it's already there. We just haven't been taught to listen to them and to obey them, right? And so once we do, healing just naturally occurs. Reason number 6 we need to heal the digestion is that inflammation lowers the thyroid function. So gut inflammation directly affects the thyroid, and that thyroid will slow metabolism. It will decrease our mood and energy. So again, if you don't have a gallbladder or you're struggling with digestion, it can start causing all this inflammation, and it leads to liver stagnation and to thyroid resistance. So you can see that there is this domino effect that starts to happen. So when we start to really heal the liver, we're using healing herbs, we're using therapies and lifestyle practices in the 7 principles. We move, that bile starts to move and clean up, the liver starts to come alive again, and then we start to help reactivate that thyroid conversion. So the process that turns T4 into active T3 And then suddenly your metabolism's like, hello, I'm here again. Look at this. We're back online. So that's going to be super important. The seventh reason is the gut-brain axis stops our emotional eating. So when our digestion is calm, our vagus nerve sends like a safety signal to your brain. So without a gallbladder or with this crazy digestion, we have this erratic release of bile and then indigestion and can trigger anxiety, restlessness, anger, frustration, all of these things. And then we start to actually oftentimes eat for comfort. So when we start to heal this gut brain axis of emotional eating, where we become slow, we start to mindfully eat, pray before meals, and there's this warm cooked foods that soothe the vagus nerve, you can call it vagus or vagus, it doesn't matter, and it restores peace to this eating experience. And so again, using these principles are going to be powerful ways to connect and balance that process once again. So biblical fasting was always meant for spiritual clarity, not deprivation. And I see so many women trying to add these fasting kind of intense fasting when their body doesn't quite trust them yet. And so we need to learn how to implement fasting in a safe way where our body understands. And so healing that digestion restores this sense of peace. So your body and your spirit can realign in that rhythm again. And I'm going to be doing a podcast here about rhythm and why it's so important. So, the eighth reason and final reason for it's not the only reasons, but this is the final reason we're talking about today is that digestion is where our body meets our spirit. So, when your digestion is working, and even without a gallbladder, it's amazing how our bodies work. They're fearfully and wonderfully made. Your body feels safe again, and you can trust hunger signals and fullness cues and sense God's presence and in your life. And there's this silence that starts to be filled with listening and intuition, and it's an amazing feeling. And that scripture that I just said, our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, that's in Psalm 139:14. So science has confirmed this truth that your liver, intestines, and microbiome form a divinely orchestrated system designed to heal, adapt, and thrive even after surgery. So you don't need another diet. You don't need all this planning and restriction. You just need to restore your body's original design and rhythm. And once we do that, miracles happen. So, friend, if you have lost your gallbladder or are just in a state where you're not feeling comfortable, you're not digestion, and you've lost faith in your metabolism, start here with your digestion. When you repair your gut, you restore your metabolism, your hormones, and your connection with the one who designed every intricate system in your body for healing. So remember, your body is not broken. It's just communicating with you. And it's time now to listen with a little bit of curiosity and a lot less criticism. So in the show notes, I have two things I want to point out. Click the link for the podcast resources where you can get the PDFs and all the resources that will get you started. Number two is start healing right now with my DIY program. So once you purchase it, you get that lifetime access to training, to all the training on healing your digestive system with the 7 godly principles. So there is no more frustration or failed attempts, just peace and healing. In 3 John chapter 1 verse 2, it says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." And I want you to prosper and be in good health. So if today's message spoke to you, please share it with another woman who's ready to stop dieting and start healing. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review because I have some awesome interviews coming up and other podcasts. So The next one is episode 44, where we're going to talk about a digestive healing hot toddy, which was a grandmother's prescription for better digestion and weight loss. So until then, happy digesting.
If this episode encouraged you or offered practical insight, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with even one friend helps more people discover this message, and Jamie is truly grateful for your support. Be sure to check the show notes for free downloads, helpful resources, and a link to join Jamie's private Facebook group for extra support and community that blends practical health with biblical truth. Just a reminder, Jamie isn't a doctor, so always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health plan.